And at 10, FNAF 4 House. Starting off with the most recent game in the series, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted Curse of Dreadbear DLC. If you decide to take a break from all the spook, you are able to get some special views of the scenery that had quite a lot of effort put into it. They have special events like Dreadbear rising out of the blood red sea, hand walking into a barn behind you, Foxy's ship swaying over that very same sea, and the ever so looming Dreadbear spawning giant sized over the hills. But finally, we can actually place where this Halloween festival is taking place. In the distance on the hill, you are able to see the silhouette of a very familiar house, the same silhouette that appears in Five Nights 4. This house is commonly believed to be the Afton's family residence, which implies some things that will be taken into account later in this list. There's a lot of Help Wanted stuff in here because everyone has already picked the other hidden secrets to shreds, so like I gotta use the new stuff. Like, there's not really an option. Except for number 9, IV, flowers, and pills. One of the most common theories about what is happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is that what we are experiencing is happening in the mind of the crying child, who is laying in a hospital bed because of the bite and who will die at the end of the game. This theory was first brought on by the Easter eggs of an IV, a vase of flowers, and a jar of pills that can be visible next to the child's bed when the screen is brightened, because we all know how much we love to brighten screens now. These are no doubt referencing the fact that we are just truly waiting in the hospital, just approaching our deaths, thanks to the flatline we hear at the end of the game. This led to the idea that the whole game series is a dream, and that you can play as the crying child in all of them, living out a life full of terror thanks to the animatronics that took your sister. And at 8, Ultimate Custom FNAF World. This Easter egg was pointed out by MapHat in one of his final timeline videos for Ultimate Custom Night, where he started the video spending 10 minutes downloading a fresh copy of both FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night so that nothing had been unlocked yet. In FNAF World, you are able to dive deep into the game's code and visit Old Man Consequences, who will say some things and then ultimately make you drown yourself because you need to get out. This reveals the secret ending of the game and gives you a trophy for it. In Ultimate Custom Night, you are able to visit Old Man Consequences as well, who tells you to leave the demon to his demons and rest your own soul. However, if you do this, you'll need to drown yourself again to leave the game. Doing this while never even playing a second of FNAF World will unlock the Old Man Consequences trophy, which is odd, but might be Scott's way of saying that the game is still canon. I mean, it did talk about sentient code and things in the game affecting the things in the real world, since you lay out clues for FNAF 3, probably hinting at the fact that the game may be the key in solving the lore going forward. Since we're seeing the same sorts of things emerge, sentient code, games affecting the outside world, it's interesting and worth exploring further. I just don't have the time for it. And at 7, Shadow Bonnie. Shadow Bonnie is another challenger that can be added into the game after Dee starts singing like my Aunt Denise at Thanksgiving after having a little too much cranberry sauce. I don't know why she does it, she just does. Do cranberries have any hallucinogenic properties to them, like nutmeg in high doses? Or would berries in Pokemon potentially be hallucinogenic, hence why the Pokemon think that their HP just got increased by 10. As I was saying, Shadow Bonnie can just be thrown into the game at any time, usually closer to the start of the night. However, when active, Shadow Bonnie will appear in your office on the right hand side, and then will just proceed to flicker the lights and then just cut them off completely for around 20 to 21 seconds. During that time, the office is practically pitch black, and you are unable to see if there are any other animatronics with you unless you use a flashlight, thus wasting even more power. It's a pretty strong ability if I'm being totally honest. If I had the ability to just turn off lights whenever I wanted without needing a light switch, I would be having so much fun. Who the hell? And at 6, Endo. To find the secret, you'll need to play FNAF 2 and Help Wanted quite a bit. The fact that when you load the game, you can start off with an endoskeleton just standing in your office is honestly terrifying. And there are plenty of more secret animatronics in Help Wanted, like Helpy being behind the monitor. But he'd only get his own spot if he was buff Helpy, because that would be scary. The fact that he doesn't do anything doesn't help either. We're supposed to believe that the other animatronics attack naked endoskeletons, but actually, they will leave this damn thing alone. Sure, it's because it's the first location we see in the game, so they haven't gotten that feature yet, but that just begs the question, why did they get that feature in the first place? Why did someone think it was needed for them to make this hideous beast their target? Why? Why was it required? Was it just because he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna stand around in the office, and they're like, no, get him out? I don't know. Alright, doing at number 5, fan art. Continuing on the FNAF multiverse idea, the whoopsie we know from the original cover art of FNAF VR Help Wanted could be in fact another addition to this multiverse. While not intended, the original cover art did contain fan art. The FNAF multiverse opens up this cover to actually being a reality. If anything, these could already be in theory canon because it's been made and released. It's not some theoretical thing that could have happened, it actually did happen, and there was a decent kerfuffle about it when the news first dropped. But at least it could be a way to get like a few more characters into the FNAF multiverse, which is definitely going to be a thing with the new FNAF games, and already a thing with the books and the upcoming movie. At least at some point, because this thing is going to have us waiting longer than The Elder Scrolls 6. And that hurts me to say on a personal level. In at 4, secret audio. In the Corn Maze stage in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC, after collecting all 4 keys, you are able to find a 5th purple key, where if you find it, you are able to unlock the cellar in the middle of the map. If you do, you enter, finding a glitch trap bunny mask on the table of the barn you go to whenever you successfully complete a mission. Except this time, it's busted up and rotten. If you wear this mask in the main hub, which you can after unlocking it, you should hold the glitch trap plush you get after defeating him using the tape roll's instructions. If you do so, you hear some creepy audio of a one-sided conversation between a female and someone else. Most likely glitch trap, since you know you need to be holding his plush. It seems as if she's preparing, making sure she is ready for something, and that she's made the mask. Perhaps she is waiting for his return. I mean, there was that female rabbit with a knife in one of the latest Freddy Fazbear promos. It's probably her, in all honesty. And at 3, rogue mechanics. If you're an avid fan of the channel or the Ultimate Custom Night, you may already know this detail, but in fact the mechanics for a few of the characters changed after just one day. Nightmare Freddy, Phone Guy, and Foxy were all implemented on April 1st with their behaviors based on wrong theories, basically disproving them at that moment and torturing us and William with them. Phone Guy couldn't talk while Springtrap was on the move, because he can't be in 2 places at once. Nightmare Freddy would wake you up from a nightmare for a bit before pulling you back to sleep and back into the game, and Foxy would come help you out by blocking a doorway. Neat ways of disproving theories, but really, Scott, you had to go with the whole Foxy is a good guy theory, and that's the one that you wanted to disprove, not something like really impactful. That's kind of a troll if you ask me. The next day though, the mechanics were switched to what they are today. So yeah, I don't know if you can still access them or not. Maybe if you change your date on your computer to the day that they were that, I don't know. I doubt it. It was an update, so. Penultimately at number 2, Glitch Trap Dance. Again, heading to the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. While in blacklight mode, or hard mode as some call it, in the main menu, if you press the button on the back of the monitor and look at the car with its headlights on for around 10 seconds, this can trigger the sight of Glitch Trap dancing at the top of the hill near the FNAF 4 house. This seems to be pointing to the highly believed theory that Glitch Trap is William Afton, who saved his consciousness in circuit boards, who has been brought back to life in Help Wanted. This could also answer the question of whose car is sitting there. It could be the players, but they acknowledge how the game is a game, so why would the car be yours? The fact that you need to look at the car indicates to me that it is William Afton's car, the one we see him kill Henry's kitten in FNAF 2, and the one he drives in Midnight Motorist. That's what it seems like to me, and to several others as well, so there you go. Finally, in at number 1, it's me. There was only one person who was able to see this Easter egg to my knowledge, and it involves getting the Curse of Dreadbear DLC and completing the game to be taken to the victory screen. There you will find 3 posters reminiscent of the ones in the alleyway in Pizzeria Simulator. However, the issue arises when you realize that to be able to unlock this Easter egg, you need to get 3 clown posters, which is incredibly rare, and I mean like incredibly rare. Plus, then you need to hit them with darts, which you only get 4 of, and if you miss 2 of them, you're screwed. So be sure you get your skills up to par before actually finding these posters. If you do manage to do this, the barn changes to seemingly a blacklight version, where the banner changes to read "It's me" and everything starts glowing because of the blacklight. While this hasn't been completed by more than Johnny Blocks from what I've seen, it may still be true, but I mean he did also do that and then get 3 cat posters like immediately after, so he might have been hacking. I'll have to look into it on my own to see if it's real. It would take a long time though. And at 10, Mini Arena. A load of these secret animatronics are going to be coming from FNAF VR, and most of them involve just minor appearances and they don't have any effect on actual gameplay. The mini arena can sometimes pop up in the Fun with Plush Trap minigame in FNAF VR. I don't actually know if it can pop up in the Fun with Balloon Boy version or even the Blacklight version, so don't assume if they will or won't, just look it up, which is probably something I should have done for this list. However, this Easter egg is rare and hasn't happened to me or anyone I've seen play it unless they were intentionally looking for it like in the video that I used, because there aren't any actual secret animatronics that haven't been revealed or something like that. It's just secret appearances. We know everything we can about this series at this point, so like let's just accept this list for what it is. And 9 Plush Trap. Plush Trap will appear in 50-20 mode in Ultimate Custom Night. 50-20 mode being where you set 50 animatronics to level 20 and then you play. Which if you do, you are an absolute mad lad and you need to be put away. Okay, not actually, because like that's the whole point of the game, but still. Plush Trap will be added in by Dee Dee when she starts singing about how things are unfortunate. Oh sis, you don't even know the half of it. However, if you do see Dee Dee add a new challenger, be sure you check Cam 6 right away. Because if she does indeed add Plush Trap, he will be sitting on a stool in the hallway and you only have 6 seconds to scare him off, otherwise he will jump scare you, no matter what you do. If you scare him off after those 6 seconds, he's going to come back anyway, you little frickin' turd. Like, why you gotta be so rude? Is it because your dad abandoned you saying he's gonna go kill more kids but he never came back with any of them for you to kill? In this case, I'm also assuming that Springtrap is your dad because you look like him the most. And it ate Endo. Endo is basically just a naked endoskeleton that totally screws with what the phone guy says in FNAF 1 to explain why the animatronics are attacking you. He said it's because you look like a naked endoskeleton, but then there is one standing right there in your office in FNAF 2 and FNAF VR. They totally ignore it. This one is similar to the mini arena. Just keep restarting the level and eventually you will find Endo standing at the right of your desk. This can happen in both blacklight mode and regular mode on any night. And I know that now the explanation for why they're attacking you is because you play as Michael Afton, who looks like his father, who's the one that killed all the kids in the first place, but come on. I really don't like logical inconsistencies. I've probably made so many countering comments over previous videos. I probably can't say anything about logical inconsistencies at this point. Minute 7, Consequences. In Ultimate Custom Night, if you put Old Man Consequences in at level 1 and play his minigame, you can end up visiting his pond like in FNAF World. However, while doing this, you can hear a very faint ambiance. While it may seem like normal Five Nights at Freddy's sounds at first, when sped up it actually sounds like the distorted screams of a man. The sound goes from 2 minutes and 54 seconds to 18 seconds, and is commonly believed to be William Afton screaming in the deepest depths of hell, since we're playing as him in Ultimate Custom Night. But this also means that Afton isn't experiencing the mini game with Old Man Consequences, so how are we able to see it? And who are we playing as in this pond? Probably Golden Freddy. Cassidy, the one you should not have killed, the one who is torturing Afton for all eternity in the deepest damnation of hell because they can't leave the demon to his demons and rest their own soul. Because while there may be nothing else, at least revenge is something, right? And 6, Helpy. Oh my god, I hate this little bugger. And not just because of Buff Helpy anymore, just because of the damn Helpy horror sections from the Foxy Cove Pirate Ride and the Curse of Dreadbear DLC. But while Helpy makes a prominent appearance there, you may not have had a chance to see him appear in the main menu screen for the game. In the main level selection screen for the base game, Helpy can appear holding onto the monitor and hanging off the side like some sort of demonic fireman. And if that wasn't terrifying enough, because let's face it, if you load in expecting to see a normal menu screen and then you see a giant bear right in front of your face, you'd be pretty concerned too. You can also see Helpy in FNAF 2's office, behind you, like some sort of weird peeping Tom that gets off on you being terrified and uses it as motivation to work out later. Yeah, you can also encounter him at the same time as Endo, making this all the more terrifying. Like, did he put Endo in your office? Why would he do that? How is Helpy even at the FNAF 2 location? Who knows anymore? I sure as hell don't. Halfway through in at number 5, the box. The infamous box was first released with the ending of FNAF 4, saying some things are best left forgotten for now, but we never knew what was in the box. However, the community seems to think that the contents of the box have changed. Originally, it's believed to be Dream Theory, since originally Scott said the community may not accept it that way. However, recently there are multiple theories, like that it contains the body of Crying Child, similarly to how Charlotte was found in the 4th Closet novel. But it's also been rumored to be revealed in the new Security Breach teaser game, like the side-scrolling beat-em-up brawler one. Yeah, I can't find any source that confirms this, however, so if anyone has any links about that, please send them to me on Instagram. Don't put them in the comments, because YouTube will probably automatically delete those. And at 4, Biddy Bap. The appearance of Biddy Bap is identical to that of the mini arena in FNAF VR. The Biddy Bap may show up in Circus Baby's dark room level, where you need to hide in the closet like my roommate did for countless years. However, this time you're hiding from Baby as she looks around the room for you until she sees you, runs over, then makes you close the door and hold it shut until she forgets you're there and then goes away. Until she sees you again, then you have to close the door and then do the same thing for hours and hours. But by the door, you can end up seeing a little Biddy Bap just standing there, menacingly. And if you are one of the people who commented on the first scariest FNAF animatronics video saying that the Biddy Baps weren't scary, obviously you haven't seen this Easter egg, because holy crap, it's terrifying just to see it there, staring, laughing, wanting us to die and suffer. It's like any normal baby. Just kidding, Landon, don't fire me. And at 3, flash forward. One confusing part of the game lore to me is the death of Henry Emily, the father of the puppet and the one who set the fires in both FNAF 3 and FNAF 6. Since he stays to burn in FNAF 6, so nobody will remember the horrors that occurred. But thanks to FNAF World's additional cutscenes after an update, where we see the introduction of Baby and the death of Henry, who we figured was Henry because he says he helped create the monster, which would most likely be referring to William or the animatronics, but either way, Henry helped. But like I said, if he dies in FNAF World, how is he alive in FNAF 6? That couldn't have been Henry, right? Well, who else is at the FNAF 6 location? Baby. It could very well be that this is a flash forward to the FNAF 6 location even before Sister Location had been released, which is crazy and pretty cool. It also explains why Baby had to get kicked out of the Enter tribe, because she had to be a separate entity so that she could kill William, like that cutscene. And in 2XOR, I didn't know that Elon Musk's kid was an animatronic. This animatronic is actually in the same vein as Shadow Bonnie, with a name that still makes more sense than X Archangel 12 in Roman numerals. This animatronic is referred to as Shadow Dee Dee, which acts in a similar way to Dee Dee in this game. However, the color palette changes to black, white, and red, and the song she sings goes backwards and is lower pitched. However, this is probably the worst thing you can get in this game, because instead of summoning one extra animatronic, it summons all of them. Every single one. Hell, based on the description on the wiki, it may summon every single animatronic in the game. Yeah, it's terrifying. But there is one animatronic that is honestly a real surprise and is probably the most interesting one on this list. So, coming in at number 1, Coffee. Now, in FNAF VR, you can see multiple animatronics, all of which were on this list. However, the most interesting one is probably the only actual secret animatronic on this list, and it's Coffee, which isn't even an animatronic from the FNAF series. It's actually from another one of Scott's games, which failed, like every other game before FNAF. Coffee is from the game called Desolate Hope, and it's an autonomous service robot designed to tend to the needs of nearby humans. It's basically a sentient coffee machine that actually makes coffee, unlike the one from Yog Labs. Coffee can be seen in Five Nights 3 if you reload the level enough times in FNAF VR, and he will be sitting on your desk, unable to be interacted with, and he won't even make you coffee. Maybe he is more like the Yog Labs coffee machine than I thought. So like I said, the game itself actually has 2 separate stories. The one that was originally intended and the one that it became. Perhaps because the original intent of the game wasn't what it ended up becoming. And Scott has confirmed what we know of FNAF to have been right at a time. So what was the original story of the first Five Nights at Freddy's game? Well, in a Steam post talking about the games, Scott said, "You know, when I released the first game over a year ago, I was amazed at how quickly everyone found every bit of lore and story. And if we go over the previous theories on Reddit and YouTube, like MatPat's videos, we come up with the following. Before the events of 1987, 5 kids go missing when an employee dressed as an animatronic lures them to a back room and kills them. The killer hides 4 of the kids in the animatronics of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy while moving the 5th to another location or stuffing it into Golden Freddy. Keep in mind that at this point, we're only looking at FNAF 1, so the kids don't have names yet. The killer then gets caught and convicted, but the bodies are never found, despite the suits leaking mucus and blood and smelling like rotting bodies. Then in 1987, an animatronic bites someone, removing their frontal lobe, which only causes more bad press for the company. Then a previous night guard known to us as Phone Guy starts recording his messages to train the one who would come after, potentially because he was thinking of switching professions or retiring. However, his retirement comes sooner than he expected when he gets killed by the animatronics while hiding out in a back room. Mike is then hired at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as a night guard to watch over the animatronics, where he spends 7 nights, gets paid, but also fired for smelling and tampering with the animatronics, even though he had been given the memo of Employee of the Month just a couple days before. And that's where the original story ended, full of mystery and general confusion, which only made the series more popular as a whole. But before we get into anything further, let me just say thank you for clicking on this video. If you love the FNAF series as much as we do and want to see more videos like this, plus we have a FNAF lore playlist as well that's more focused on the theories and the confirmed bits of lore. Both of those are linked in the iCard in the top right corner of your screen, so click it. You won't be disappointed. Then comes the next game, and the rest of the series, which expanded on the first game in such a way that made most of what we just said just fanfiction, but like canon fanfiction, you know? since we know so much more now and the pieces fit together so much nicer, even if you have to bash them in with a hammer. So what is the current story of the first Five Nights game? Well, we'll go into it based on general theories, but I'll throw in some options in there as we go. Remember, we're looking at the story of the first game here, so details like the FNAF 2 location and circus babies are irrelevant, but will be explored in future videos if you guys like this one. Before the game starts, William Afton, working as a suit technician dressed as Golden Bonnie, lures 5 kids one at a time to the back room of a Freddy's restaurant and kills them, stuffing the bodies of Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy into the suits of Freddy, Chica, Foxy, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy, where their intense agony from being killed and ruthlessly shoved into animatronics allows them to possess the endoskeletons of their new coffins. William is suspected of a crime and investigated, but no bodies are found, so the charges are dropped, since they have no proof of foul play or any wrong part in his doing. This event, that becomes known as the Missing Children's Incident, ends up costing the company business and bad press. Then the situation gets worse when, in 1987, someone gets bit and loses their frontal lobe, which puts the company in dire straits. Then the player, known as Mike Schmidt, is hired as the security guard and notified via newspaper, the ones that are represented by the ones we see on the walls in game, and not by the company, that the restaurant will be closing at the end of the week. But as we would later learn, since we are the son of the man who committed those murders so long ago, we stay for the week and risk our life to try and set these 5 spirits free. We stay for 5 nights, unable to help, then a couple nights later we're fired for tampering with the animatronics, general unprofessionalism, and odor, most likely to prevent the company from having to pay a bigger severance package when the company goes under. The animatronics are retired and our father continues to get away with the murder. It's also possible that instead of Michael, we play as Henry, William's business partner and at least previously part owner of the restaurants, the father of Charlotte, who is only mentioned in the books, not the games. As a victim of one of these crimes ourselves, we set out on the mission to help those that we could and scare William along the way, using the name of one of his victims, Mike Schmidt, as an alias to be hired as a security guard. He then tries setting the souls free, but is caught, and the issue is brought up to William, who, upon seeing the name, knows that Henry is after him. So he orders that he be fired as quickly as possible and with as many reasons as possible to ensure that Henry can't fight it. Thus the additions of general unprofessionalism and odor, which are honestly not entirely valid reasons. This gives William the idea to dismantle them himself, which he tries to do, hiding in the safe room after each disassembly, but that ultimately fails, having the spirits appear in their child form, causing him to go into the spring-lock suit to feel powerful, but getting spring-locked in the process. Then Henry, as the copyright owner, uses his position to seal off the safe rooms, trapping William inside for the next 30 years. But what happens next? In its end, names don't matter. Scott Cawthon is the creator of the FNAF games, so I think that we can take his word for everything in the series. Unless he's trying to troll us at least. And in an interview, I'm pretty certain with Daco, he said that the names he gave the characters don't really matter. There wasn't much thought behind it, especially in the first game. The names of Jeremy, Fritz, and Mike Schmidt don't really matter. Now, whether the names of all the characters don't matter is up for debate, since he, after the first game, wanted to tell a story, so we unfortunately can't throw away or confirm the Mike Schmidt-Michael connection yet. However, if you're currently looking into the meaning of those names, and maybe even names like Gregory or Elizabeth, maybe it's best to hold off on that until it's our only option. I personally don't think that we've presented every possible scenario yet, mostly because other people don't want to hear anything other than what's been generally understood right now. Like what we generally accept is what happened in FNAF. People don't want to hear something else, but hey, that's not my problem. And at 9, the books. The main series of FNAF books, those being the Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, and the Fourth Closet, don't have much connection to the actual games. They tell a different story, yet on another Earth or something like that. However, they are from the same mind as the games, so they do share common elements, and they would have some hints to help us figure out the base series, because he'd already have a story in mind for that, and he can't really just lose it entirely. But where the books really come in clutch is the Fazbear Fright series, a book series originally said to only have 5 books that ended up getting itself some more. The Fazbear Frights books are, by Scott's own words, meant to help us solve various aspects of the games, and that's where these books come in handy. Without them, we wouldn't know how William always came back, or that he just never died until actually possessing the hard drive, and many, many more things. So maybe if you're looking for answers, these books are the place to go first. Also because these stories are genuinely scary. And at 8, FNAF Multiverse. I personally cannot wait for the FNAF multiverse canon. I'm really interested to see where that canon's story will go and if it will be easier to follow than the main FNAF story. The new universe, of course, being thanks to the Fazbear Fanverse initiative Scott has put together, helping fan game creators have funding to make additional games in their series or releasing new and updated versions for their old games, with popular series like Five Nights at Candy's getting another game, as well as The Joy of Creation getting a remade collection. But this also contains FNAF Plus, a fan recreation of the first game which looks utterly terrifying, and will serve as the start of that FNAF universe's timeline. If they used like the main games, it would be complicated and like it would be weird, okay? Like from a lore perspective, like it would have to be the exact same thing and it would be weird. I love the idea of multiple Earths, as I'm sure you all know, where anything you can imagine is literally happening on another planet, and I think that that's really inspirational at times. Like you can literally do whatever you want, like whatever you set your mind to, because it's happening somewhere already. You just gotta have it happen here too. Like how else am I supposed to find the motivation to take over the world? Honestly. And at 7, a Mobile Freddy. The original FNAF that Scott had in mind is not at all like the one we know today. Well, it is in the sense that it is what he wanted to make, but so many ideas and mechanics were added and changed that while we know FNAF is a point and click that gets progressively harder, adding more animatronics later on in a playthrough, that wasn't what Scott had planned at the beginning. In a statement that was most likely released on Reddit, Scott revealed that he had originally planned to make Freddy only jump scare you if you ran out of power, and that he never wanted him to leave the main stage. Eventually, this changed, and we'll never really know why. Perhaps it was because the game was too easy, or he wanted to see how things would work with two animatronics in the same hallway, or perhaps he had Freddy moving around but got jump scared randomly and kept it, or he just wanted to torture us like the sadistic fool we all know him to be. Why do you do this to me, Scott? Why? I'm just kidding, please notice me, Sky Daddy Scott. Please. Imagine if he didn't move and we were just waiting the whole time for him to move. And at 6, Stuck in the Middle. And to those of you who may be confused as to why it would have been Elizabeth killing Henry even though she was possessing Baby at the time of his death, Elizabeth is still inside Baby. We can see it much like how we can see the body of someone else in Funtime Freddy's wireframe and the blueprints in FNAF 6. There is actually a body of a kid stuck inside Baby as well. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that William would have taken his daughter's body out of Baby since she had, you know, possessed the animatronic, and then just like threw Baby back out there to collect more kids instead of studying her even more. Like at this point, William already knew about Remnant, but he had never seen it work. He had never seen the possession work. He knew about it, but he didn't know about it, you know? But this time, it had something to do with his family. He had a personal stake in the matter. And the FNAF 6 wireframe is what Henry was using to lure Baby back so that he could release Elizabeth, and doesn't mention any other kind of kid that would be trapped inside of Elizabeth, or Baby, or whatever, they're the same thing, so yeah. Halfway through at number 5, Mini Rena and Biddy Bap. The mini Renas actually appear in Help Wanted. In the Plush Trap Darkroom, you have the chance to see one of them in one of the doors, which is probably just a distraction tactic used by Scott just to get you to get jump scared. But it's still going to damn well work. And you can also encounter a Biddy Bap doll in Baby's mini game, where you need to close the closet door in the FNAF 4 house. But not for too long, otherwise the plush babies will kill you. Yeah, you can see the Biddy Bap near the door, and honestly, it's just freaky. Especially because you can't look at it for too long, otherwise Baby jump scares you because you still gotta close the damn door. Also, has anyone completed the game using only flat mode? Because from what I've seen, the game is way harder that way. If you haven't completed the game using only flat mode, let me know in the comments, because congratulations. Holy damn. Headed for Glitch Trap Conspiracy. Glitch Trap is the antagonist of the latest main series title, FNAF Help Wanted, the VR title that later got itself a flat version. However, he was supposedly an accident after being scanned in when they used a hard drive in order to make the AI of the animatronics. However, for an accident, this character is able to do an awful lot in game. He can interact with things like curtains and other sections of the game. Like, how is he able to do that if he was just an accident? Sure, they would have AI, but they would have had to code separate collision, right? Maybe not because like he's a spirit, but who knows. It just seems off to me like he had to have some form of help to get the control that he does in game. At least being able to interact with aspects of the game. Like he shouldn't be able to do that, right? Even we can't move curtains and stuff. The hard drive was just for AI, not collisions. And no other animatronics really move things other than Foxy and the camera in the DLC. Like, at least from what I've seen. Like, and the whole like, oh yeah, here, use this hard drive, it'll help you with the AI, that just seems shifty to me. I don't know, it's weird, okay? Something's going on there. Vanny wasn't around yet, so who did it? Who gave him the hard drive? Who did it? Which one of you? No one's going home until someone tells me who did it. And at 3, Lolbit. Lolbit actually does make an appearance in Ultimate Custom Night, however, it's not in the same vein as the others. While the other animatronics are actually visible, Lolbit's bit is just a load of loud noises as the please stand by graphic shows up on the screen, blocking the middle of your vision. The whole point of this character is to cause noise, since there are characters who jump scare you based on sound, as made evident by the noise bar in the bottom left of the screen. This makes a whole lot of noise for a long time, meaning that all the animatronics will know you're there, and the Music Man, if he is in the game, will jump scare you basically immediately, because Music Man hates noise for some reason. Gotta love that logic. And at 2, no sequels. This is fairly common knowledge, but it's something everyone seems to forget, and honestly, it's crazy to think about. The original game was meant to be Scott's final attempt at being a game designer after multiple games not taking off. But thanks to some incredible ideas, reviews, mysteries, and YouTuber support, the game blew up and got itself some sequels. However, since there was no intended sequel, the canonicity of the first game can be confusing. Does it matter? Should we ignore it? No, because while it may be slightly outdated, Scott has said that the game still has significance and the game is still canon. What that really means is unknown, like if all the parts of it matter, or if we should just keep an eye on this game since it will be needed to sort out the whole timeline. Like, we don't know if all of it matters or if the things that don't conflict aren't canon. We aren't sure. Finally, in at number 1, the end. There was actually meant to be an end to FNAF. The Five Nights series wasn't intended on being more than one game, as I said before, but after it got a sequel, the game wasn't going to be as long as we know it to be today. The story wasn't going to be as complicated and convoluted as it is now, because the series was supposed to end after FNAF 3. The series was going to be fairly cut and dry. William kills 5 kids by luring them into the back room, and then they get possessed. The restaurant closes and then reopens after sealing his Springtrap body inside. He is then released and Fazbear Frights opens, but burns to the ground with him inside, and with FNAF 3 being the original ending, William would have died in that fire, and honestly, I would have loved that. No confusing crying child or Big Brother shenanigans, no convoluted timeline, but Scott ended up making FNAF 4 because the community was overall disappointed with the Springtrap jump scare, and he didn't want something that disappointed people to be the last game of the series. That's why the Nightmare animatronics are so terrifying. It's an overcorrection. And honestly, I understand, because, like, I am too. I'm disappointed with it. Hence why I don't think that Springtrap is that as scary of an animatronic, but also because he isn't an animatronic, he's a dude in a suit, but still. So yeah, FNAF 3 would have been the end of the series if the Springtrap jump scare had actually been scary. So I guess we can thank William for our continued content and channel growth. Thanks, dude. Many lives have been sacrificed. That's also from another interview of his, in case you're wondering. And in 10, Glam Rock wardrobe swap. This is something I didn't notice until I went into the comments of the first Security Breach trailer. In summer of 2020, Funko leaked the designs of the action figures for Security Breach, thus leaking the designs of the animatronics. People were pissed about this, obviously, since Scott had specifically told Funko not to release anything. At least we figure, because, you know, he's Scott. I don't know if he made a post about it or something like that. Why does Funko leak literally everything? Everything possible, they leak. They're like Walmart. Anyway, the design of the characters from the gameplay trailer are actually different to those of the action figures released. This is most notable on Roxanne's clothes, where Scott moved the black star shapes, and on Monty's guitar, where he removed or made the black stripes smaller. Chica's guitar is also a lighter blue and mostly white, as opposed to the white and a darker blue of the original action figure. And the animatronics in the trailer are properly proportioned. The action figure heads are weird, okay? They creep me out. At least if these weren't preliminary designs. And at 9, lives. Haha. I think the one thing that would have changed everything is if FNAF had a life system. Sure, you can go back and do it again after you fail night 5, thanks to the continue button, but I think lives would have made the game worse rather than better. Part of the appeal is that you have one shot, and while yes, it saves what night you're on, you still need to restart that night, and I think that lives would have taken away from that. Even though it's basically the same thing, but also not. Unless the lives would let you continue the night that you were on. Like, if you got jump scared at 5 AM, you'd still be at 5 AM until you ran out of lives, which would also kind of break the game, unless it was meant to be, like, if you run out of lives, you have to go back to night 1. Especially if you use the glitch where you can continue the jump scare for a long time while still continuing the night, until eventually you die unless you beat the night by continuing the jump scare. With the system it currently has, lives are redundant, but we know that this was planned thanks to gameplay that was left on Scott's YouTube channel from the development days of the first FNAF game. I can't believe this game has gone from a last-ditch attempt to being featured next to God of War, Call of Duty, and more in the PlayStation 5 event last year. That's incredible. Good job, Scott. And at 8, Mangle Vent. FNAF VR introduced the vent repair minigames featuring Mangle and entered in some of the scariest experiences I've been through. I've played through the Mangle Vent repair from now on this channel, and it is quite a terrifying experience. Now, despite my idiocy in that video, dealing with 3 vents was fairly simple, since they open one by one. However, it was actually planned to have another vent at the top of the elevator. Every time you see that opening, you think, oh man, is Mangle gonna pop out there? But the thing is, it could have. Mangle was planned to have a 4th entry point this whole time. Can you imagine how rude of an awakening that would have been if nobody had noticed it? And how incredibly, utterly terrifying it would have been if that was implemented. Mangle would have had the high ground, and I would be screaming, I hate you. I am 100% certain that would have caused a lot more deaths. I know that I would have died if Mangle could have come in from the top. Imagine if it was behind you though, and like you'd have to like spin around 360. Oh my god, or all 5, especially in blacklight mode. And at 7, the apple tree. The saying goes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and while that isn't always the case, it certainly became the case for Elizabeth in the FNAF series. Elizabeth being the daughter of the purple guy we all know and some of us love a little too much. You know, William Afton. Elizabeth, however, gets scooped on the first day of Circus Baby's Pizza World being open and gets the place shut down after a single day. She ends up possessing the animatronic in a story we all know too well, but she goes a little crazy while being an animatronic, willing to kill you in sister location when the power goes out, and then, you know, killing Henry in FNAF World, which is kind of poetic in a way. Like father, like daughter in this case. William took Henry's daughter's life, and William's daughter took Henry's life, which is weirdly beautiful but also horrible. And this girl is out there chopping heads off, and she like wasn't even old enough to make a Club Penguin account. Yikes. And at 6, blacklight mode. You may have seen the blacklight animatronics if you pay attention to the FNAF merch. They released blacklight plushies and pop figures a while ago without any real explanation. Well, as it turns out, these alternate colored animatronics are actually for Help Wanted's blacklight mode, or hard mode, whatever you want to call it. You don't actually get to see them unless you boundary break, since the animatronics are hidden behind curtains that don't open in blacklight mode, but they are still there. This is closer to the top because they weren't, like, totally, like, changed, but you can't really like interact with them or whatever, even when like close up. And they're even in the blacklight repair modes, but you can't really see them because it's all so goddamn dark. Chica's blacklight mode, Bonnie's blacklight mode, they're all the blacklight colored animatronics, but you can't actually tell. So yeah, I still kind of wish I got those pop figures. I still want like a glitching glitch trap, and I want like an actual glitch trap. And I should have gotten the pop figures when they came out. They're worth so much now. Halfway through at number 5, Nightmare Chica. Nightmare Chica is one of the most terrifying secret animatronics in the whole game of Ultimate Custom Night. Again, summoned after Dee Dee sings her song, Nightmare Chica will appear right behind you, and is actually capable of jump scaring the player. You'll know if Chica is behind you because you will all of a sudden see the teeth. Yes, if Nightmare Chica is summoned, you will literally see her start to close her mouth around you, and to fight this off, you either need to turn on the air conditioning or the heat in an effort to make her go away. But once you do that, she's done for the night. I don't know if Dee Dee can pop back up and summon her again, but if she can't, then you won't have to deal with her again. If Chica closes her mouth around your head, she will jump scare you, end the night, and let's be honest, probably claw your face off and use it as pepperoni. You also have to turn the AC on, which is weird because I had to turn my AC off, and it's been off for like 10 minutes, and it's already up to 30 degrees in my apartment, so yay. And at 4, cameras. The beta for FNAF was full of unused or cut features. Some of these things were interesting, like the original camera map. Well, now we see boxes that indicate the rooms that the cameras were located, and lines leading to other rooms, which are hallways and stuff like that. Originally, we saw the entire layout at once, and we could actually see the directions the cameras were facing, showing us what we'd really be looking at. I can see how this would be useful, but since the gameplay is more of a slideshow-esque format, instead of the animatronics free roaming, like how they do in FNAF VR, we don't really need all that information. And the design we know and love today really keeps it simple and is really all we need. They'll end up in one position on a camera or they'll be in another, and knowing the direction doesn't really matter if that's the case. It would have been interesting for sure and may have changed the game, but it's unnecessary unless the characters walked around all willy-nilly, like I said, like they do in FNAF VR. I mean, they don't walk around willy-nilly, but you can see them walking this time. maybe then it would be useful. But like, I don't know. And at 3, Spring Bonnie. In Five Nights 3 on Cam 10, there's a poster of Freddy. This is the typical sight. However, you can rarely see a Spring Bonnie replacing the poster, showing a cartoonish version of the main antagonist of the game. While this could very well just be a golden Bonnie, the fact that it appears in the game surrounding William Afton in the Springtrap suit is enough cause to believe that this is meant to be Spring Bonnie. It's a cute poster if you ignore all the blood and decay surrounding it. But I mean, it's about everyone's favorite human in a suit that got a load of spring locks shoved into him yet somehow survived until Pizzeria Simulator, where he ultimately burns to death in the worst parody of Blaze of Glory ever. At least he gets his comeuppance in Ultimate Custom Night, where he is being tortured by the souls of the damned for all eternity. Or is he? This is actually really interesting, especially if Glitch Trap is Willie Afton. Where's his soul gonna be if he gets out of the game? Like what? And ultimately in at number 2, co-op mode. Believe it or not, FNAF is actually going to include a co-op mode. Well, at least in Help Wanted. In the game files, there is a folder called Multiplayer that has several files stored within it. These files are named like Character Info Table, MP Game Mode, and so on, suggesting that there was a multiplayer mode actually planned for release. But it's now unclear whether it will be entirely scrapped, saved for a future update, or implemented into Security Breach. Cause, you know, Fanny has all your friends. Maybe some more of them other than Gregory escaped. What would a multiplayer mode look like? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Would you play it? Let me know below. My theory is that the multiplayer mode may have been used for the trailer of FNAF VR, since you can see the hands and the head of the person playing, but maybe it's something more. Maybe they were testing stuff out for Security Breach. Why wouldn't they remove those files from the game? And like, why would they call it multiplayer if it was just for a trailer though? You see why I'm confused? However, if you want to play multiplayer FNAF, you can by using custom VR chat maps. I don't know how to work custom VR chat maps, but like maybe I can figure it out and do like a group meetup thing, like on my channel or something. Like maybe I could make a map, like live stream on like my Twitch or something, I don't know. It sounds complicated, plus you don't need a VR headset to actually play VR chat. There is a flat mode version, and like the entire game is free. It's the same thing, you just download VR chat, you don't have to have a headset for it. So like you can do this with your friends, literally right now. Like go open Steam, download VR chat, figure out how to work custom maps, and you're good. You can go play FNAF in multiplayer. Finally, in at number 1, the end. The FNAF story we know and love, but also rage out on a daily basis. Wait. That's just me and MatPat? Sorry to assume. Well, the complicated story that makes me cry myself to sleep actually could have been a lot simpler and to the point. 3 games, 1 story, that's right. In case you missed it in previous lists, the FNAF story was only meant to be 3 games long, with William dying in the FNAF 3 fire. However, the community thought that the Springtrap jump scare was disappointing, so Scott overcorrected in FNAF 4 with the Nightmare animatronics. But then we got more confused, so he continued. The story could have been 3 games long. Maybe even no book, no movie, no Fazbear Frights. Yeah, that's insane. It's incredibly nuts to think that this 9-game long story could have been just a third of that length. No AR game, no VR game. Goddamn, that just makes me rethink my whole life. Like, is this really what the channel should be covering? I could be talking about Skyrim right now. I love Skyrim. It's my favorite game. Why don't I do that? No one would click it, that's for damn sure.